Why bodybuilding sucks. What the heck, Conan? Why would you say that? After watching the Olympia, after competing in 2 bodybuilding shows, you are the last person who I would expect to say that. But yes, unfortunately, bodybuilding does suck in my personal opinion. Now, before you get angry, let me explain my thoughts. I've competed in 2 bodybuilding shows in the past before. I have watched numerous bodybuilding shows as well. I hang around people who are bodybuilders who compete on bodybuilding stages, and I know exactly what it's like, not just to go through a bodybuilding prep. I've also been around other people who've gone through the prep. I live this lifestyle, and I have lived it the past couple of years. It looks like a glamorous thing, right? And I think a lot of people will look at a physique like that. They look amazing, looks at least like peak physical shape, physical health. They have 6-pack abs, they have like their chest, they have like their shoulders, biceps, triceps, they have their legs, their quads, they're oiled up, they got the tan going, like desired physique, right? Not just for most guys that want to look like that, but then even like for females, right? Like a lot of females find that very attractive. At least we think as guys. I don't really think girls are too concerned about that because it's all about your personality. It's about like these all small little other things, but just naturally speaking, right? More people are attracted to a fit body, right? As opposed to a fat body, right? It doesn't take like, a genius to figure that part out. But here's the harsh truth behind bodybuilding, right? Like I said, it is very glamorous, but it is not what it appears at all. Let me tell you that. So in today's video, or in today's live stream, I'm going to be discussing 5 reasons why bodybuilding sucks. And then by the end of it, hopefully, again, I'm not here to say that, oh, if you plan on doing a bodybuilding show, you shouldn't do it. Or if you are currently watching bodybuilding people compete and stuff, that you should look at them in a different way. I'm just kind of like giving you this information so that at the very least, if you do plan on competing one day or whatever it may be, at least you are a bit more informed on it, right? Because it is certainly not for everyone. And before we do get started, I would say out of all the sports that there are, bodybuilding is probably the unhealthiest thing that you could possibly do. So I come from a sporting background. I grew up playing soccer most of my life, growing up as a chubby kid in the Netherlands. I actually started off being a goalie because I would cover most of the net. It was just quite funny. But I also played basketball as a kid. I played tennis. I swam a lot. When I moved to Canada at the age of 11, I actually played hockey. I played ball hockey and a bit of ice hockey too. I did some skating. So I played a lot of sports all my life, right? And when it comes to bodybuilding, I won't even consider it a sports, to be honest. Like, it's like the toss of a coin. Some people call it a sports, others don't. But if you do consider it a sport, I would say it is the unhealthiest and also the most extreme sport out there. So bodybuilding is really one of these things where it is a 24/7 thing. You guys have probably heard this before, where like you got to be on top of everything at all times. Now, yes, as a pro athlete, whether you're a pro football player, pro basketball player, pro soccer player, like it is so much more than just being on top of it during your game. Like you got to make sure that your lifestyle is optimized, but specifically with bodybuilding, right? Like you really, really, really got to make sure that you're on top of everything to the gram. So let's start with the nutrition, right? Nutrition, as we all know, is really, really important, but especially when it comes to bodybuilding, you have to make sure that you're on top of it, right? You got to make sure that you're hitting your calories, you're hitting your macros, and not just eyeballing things, but getting to it to a T, right? That means bringing your food scale with you everywhere you go. And given that you have to be super accurate with your food intake, and you cannot often eat certain foods, whether it's certain seasonings, certain sauces, all these things, you likely, especially the deeper you get into your bodybuilding preparation, you likely are not able to eat out as much, if not at all, right? Which means you cannot socialize with your friends, you cannot go to your favorite restaurants, you cannot go to your favorite lunch places, you cannot honestly leave your house. Basically, like if you really want to optimize things, you should be cooking your own meals at all times. You should just do everything so you can weigh everything to the gram, not just eyeballing things using measuring cups. Like bring your food scale, right? Measuring everything on a digital food scale. There are nowadays food delivery prep companies that could be beneficial, right? But for most people, just making your own food is definitely required in order to have the most amount of accuracy when it comes to what food you put into your body, right? So you're gonna have to be very strict, and that can take a lot out of you, right? No socializing, no date nights, no going out with your favorite friends, or going out to your favorite restaurants with your favorite people, with your girlfriend, with your wife, with your kids, whatever it may be. It's a really selfish thing, and you have to be on top of it, right? Because one bad day of eating, one cheat day, one cheat meal, one meal of eating 50 grams more of rice can make a huge impact on the way you look on show day, right? So this is obviously very extreme, and this can also lead to eating disorders, right? Because now you're literally so food focused. Not only do you have to measure everything now, because you're also eating less calories than you burn, because naturally speaking, as you are doing a bodybuilding prep, you have to get to single digit body fat percentages. And what does that require? That requires you to eat less calories than you burn. And over time, your energy levels will just plummet. You'll be super food focused. You'll just be constantly thinking about food. And when you're constantly food focused and you're food deprived, this is a recipe for disaster. You do not want to be around other people, or at least other people do not want to be around you, because you may not think about it, but you will come across as a lot more sassy, a lot more arrogant, a lot more just like, don't talk to me, or like just kind of like, I don't know, like you just tend to do weird behaviors. At least I did. I remember like I was started to like hog my food. I'm like don't look at me when I eat, or I did some crazy things, and I got really upset whenever someone ate one of my meal preps, which I mean that isn't cool in itself. But yeah, I just got really extreme, and I got really food focused, and it just took so much out of like my life, right? Like life is supposed to like be enjoyed, and like one of the things that we preach inside of our online coaching program is that we want to make fitness enhance your life, and we don't want it to take over your life, right? Whereas when it comes to bodybuilding prep, you're doing the exact opposite. It's literally taking over your life. Like everything you do, it's like bodybuilding, food prep, all these things, right? So that's the first thing. Bodybuilding is a 24/7 thing, especially when it comes to your nutrition. But on top of that too, your training has to be dialed into. It's not enough just showing up to the gym a couple of days a week. Like, no, you have to probably work out 5, if not 6 days a week. Some pro bodybuilders do like 2 sessions a day, so 1 a.m. session, 1 p.m. session, which doesn't even include the cardio that they have to do on top of that in order to push them into a further deficit. So like not only does your diet have to be on point, the food you put into your body, which that in itself is a 24/7 thing, now you also have to make sure that just showing up to the gym with the low energy that you do have, you got to make sure that you show up and then actually training hard, because especially when you're food deprived, you're eating less calories than you burn, you are prone to muscle loss 100%, especially as a natural athlete. I don't even want to discuss the drugs the pro bodybuilders take, but yeah, for those of you who do not know, bodybuilding is very unhealthy, largely due to the drugs, the anabolics, the steroids that you have to take in order to look like that. Because if you guys did not know, like, yes, you have to take those, you have to take drugs, you have to take all these different things. What's your opinion on Slim Jims, oranges, caffeine, and baked chicken? I think all of those are great. Oranges are great. Caffeine is great. It's a great appetite suppressant, which, by the way, a lot of bodybuilders do take to help suppress their appetite, while also giving them a lot more energy. It's actually been known that people abuse caffeine during their bodybuilding preps, which that in itself is not healthy at all. But if you limit the caffeine intake and you take enough and not too much where it starts to affect your sleep, I think it's great. You also asked about baked chicken. I think baked chicken is great as long as you don't drench it in olive oil, for example. I typically just boil my chicken, so just water, add some great seasonings, and then just really quickly, boom, there you go. But yeah, going back to my point, when you're just really energy deprived, you got to make sure that you not just show up to the gym, but then actually like give it your all in the workouts. Because like I said, when you're eating less calories than you burn, you are more prone to muscle loss, just naturally speaking. You're not in like this anabolic state. And so you really got to make sure that when you're in the gym, you're not just showing up, but you're actually bringing the intensity, which means that you're going close to failure. You're trying your absolute best to add an extra rep from last week, add a bit more weight from last week, just training harder than last time, essentially. And training harder than last time is a lot easier when you're eating a bunch of food and you're in a calorie surplus, right? But when you're in a calorie deficit, especially the deeper you get into prep, the leaner you get, the just single digit body fat percentage that you have, it just makes that a lot easier. Your energy levels are going to be lower naturally, but having to do that while still putting in efforts to your workouts, it's difficult, right? It's very, very difficult. Like you're pretty much in a sensitive state. So that is definitely not ideal. And then on top of that too, having to slap on cardio, typically for Yeah, most people are known to do an hour of cardio on top of that already. Low intensity, steady state cardio, whether it's like on the elliptical or in the Stairmaster, just so it doesn't like rack your joints or connective tissues. But yeah, having to slap on an hour of cardio on top of your actual weight training session, that also takes a lot of your time, right? So we've already discussed the food that it requires, right? Your diet. We talked about the training side of things, training 6 to 7 days a week, sometimes 2 sessions a day. So I mean, as you can tell, it's literally a 24/7 thing that you constantly have to do. And on top of that too, you got to make sure your lifestyle is on point, which means no partying, no alcohol, making sure your sleep is dialed in, right? Like if you don't sleep enough, you don't have enough energy. And also, I made a video about this, but when you're sleep deprived, you are more prone to muscle loss and fat gain, which is not what you want, especially if you want to look your peak physical shape. So your sleep has to be dialed in. And as you can tell, nutrition, exercise, and sleep, you have to dial these things in. And it goes to show you that beyond these things, there's not a whole lot left time to do other things, right? Which is why it's so difficult for just the average person to obviously go through something like this. Because yeah, the average person, like, you still have a family, you still have kids to look after, you still have your wife or your kids to look after, you still have to obviously show up to work, like you got to do all these things. So as you can tell, bodybuilding, it is not for everyone, and it requires a lot of sacrifice and a lot of it'll take over your life. Just know going into it that if you do plan on competing one day and going through a prep, that it will quite literally take over your life. And that is why I'm so against it, especially for the average person. Like, you're literally setting yourself up to go to prison, to go to jail for the next 3, 4, 6 months, however long your prep is. And with the people that we help, like, I would never want them to go through that, because it is not sustainable, right? It is not fun. And not only that, it can also lead to, like I told you, binge eating disorders, bad relationships with food, just obsessive disorder, like all these different things. And so I know I just completely bashed on bodybuilding, right? What's the longest time I should sit down for? What's the max sugar I should eat per meal? Should I eat cereal? A lot of questions there. I totally forgot what the first question was. So if you can just ask me one question at a time, I will do my best to answer it for you. So please, one question at a time, and then I will answer that one question. But yeah, hopefully I can do that. But really quickly, on the basis of sugar, sugar in itself is not inherently bad. It's the excess of sugar, right? Because ultimately, carbs will turn into glucose eventually into your body. So it'll all kind of get broken down into your body anyway once you digest it all properly. But the issue with sugar is that it's super addictive, especially the refined sugar that you typically find in like those processed foods, the donuts and the cookies and stuff, or the sodas and the pops. But yeah, biggest thing that's really makes sugar bad is, number one, it's easy to overeat, and the overeating of sugar is what makes it bad, right? Because that's will put you in a calorie surplus, and that typically, if you're not exercising, will make you hold on to more body fats, and with that added body fats, that can lead to obviously issues down the road. So yeah, sugar in itself is not bad, but an excess of sugar is bad. So and this goes with all foods, by the way. Like, one donut is not going to kill you, but 10,000 donuts will kill you, right? Just like with a cucumber, like, you can eat one cucumber, it's obviously going to be healthy for you. You can eat two cucumbers, that's going to be healthy for you. But if you eat 1,000,000 cucumbers, like, yeah, you're probably going to eat more calories than you burn, and that in itself is going to cause an issue. So we talked about how extreme bodybuilding is and how it literally is a 24/7 thing. So just be totally aware of that, right? So these are just 5 added things that I want to touch on top of that too, to kind of like wrap it up. Because yeah, like I said, I think it's important for a lot of people to, at the very least, know what it's like to go through bodybuilding prep. Because like I said, it looks glamorous, but you feel miserable. Let me tell you that. On stage, you look like a superhuman, but off stage, most competitors are sleep deprived, carb depleted, and mentally wrecked. What looks like peak health is actually peak suffering. And I can tell you this because I've gone through this numerous times before, 2 times before. And yeah, you're literally just, yeah, sleep will get wrecked because, yeah, if you're not eating enough food, like, that's, yeah, your sleep tends to kind of like suffer, which is definitely not good. Your carbs, like, you're definitely going to be carb depleted. You're not going to be eating as much food. And mentally, you're just not going to feel the best, right? Like, if you're just sleep deprived and not eating enough food, mentally, you're going to feel like an absolute just wreck, basically, right? So that's the first thing. Second thing, it destroys your relationship with food. This is something that is starting to get a bit more like, yeah, it's like people are starting to talk a bit more about, but it 100% ruins your relationship with food. It happened to me my first ever time I did my bodybuilding show where I got a food eating disorder. And again, a lot of different people have different definitions of eating disorders, but I was just so food focused during my prep and after my prep as well. I had a hard time just kind of getting out of this dieting phase because I had viewed myself as, I saw myself in peak physical shape, right? I'm like, oh my God, like I look amazing. This is like, I want to sustain this, right? And that kind of led me to, after my bodybuilding show was done, to still do my cardio, to still do my diets and still be super like food deprived because I just wanted to almost like hold on to this look, maintain this look. But that in itself, like it's not supposed to be sustainable. It is not supposed to be something that you stick with. Like it's supposed to be something where you tip your toes in the water and then you tip them out immediately. Because if you sustain those low body fat percentages, like I said, it can lead to a horrible relationship with food. But on top of that too, your hormones will completely get wrecked too, right? Your testosterone tanks, your libido disappears, like no sex drive, no morning wood. Like you see a hot girl, you're not gonna get excited. And that is so weird, right? Like you should get excited. Like it is normal. It is healthy to have a boner like numerous times throughout the day. Like you should be having that. You should be striving for that. If you currently do not have that, it probably means your hormones are not right? So that's something you're gonna have to pay attention to and actually fix. Your mood swings still hit super, super hard. And it can take months, if not years, to fully recover, right? That's something that it gets overlooked. A lot of people look at shredded physiques, like these bodies that are like super lean, super shredded, six-pack abs. But like if you ask them and if they were actually honest with you, they'll probably tell you that, hey, I actually don't get boners as often. Like I actually don't have my morning wood anymore. I don't have all these things. And that is very unhealthy. That is not good, like at all, right? And this leads me to the fourth thing. The pursuit never ends. I talked about this just now, but once you compete, that normal will never feel like enough again, right? Like seeing yourself go up from 5% body fat up to 10% body fat, like you think 10% body fat looks fat on you, right? You're going to have extreme body dysmorphia. Whereas to the average person, it's like you look incredible. But you, knowing that you've gone yourself down to 5% body fat, know that you're capable to obviously get down there, right? And so that's almost like your new norm. And that can definitely be a double-edged sword because it's one of these things where, yes, it's cool to obviously get down there, but if that is now your new norm, it's like, well, it's probably going to do more harm than good because now you've ruined your self-perception because you know what you are capable of. And if you're not looking like that, you're like, oh, I look like crap now. And that is not good, right? Because if you constantly feel like you look like crap despite actually looking amazing, like that's not good for your self-confidence, for just your body dysmorphia, for just the way you show up for yourself. So yeah, it can definitely stunt you there. And then last thing here is that like, hopefully with everything I just said, right, it kind of gets the point across, but it's not healthy. Bodybuilding teaches discipline, yes, 100%, but health isn't about starvation, fake tans, and dehydration. It's about balance, energy, and strength you can live with, that you can sustain, right? So the better approach with all of this said and done, Bacon, I just subbed. Thank you so much, man. Glad you're here. Hopefully you're enjoying the live calls. But the better approach, which is what we like to preach inside of our coaching program, is train like an athlete, not a bodybuilder. Eat whole foods, lift heavy, stay lean year round. You can certainly still stay quote unquote lean year round, not single digit, obviously, but closer to 10 to 20, which is a lot more sustainable for a lot of people. And you still look amazing. And you actually build a body that performs in real life and not just look good under stage lights. And that is what we preach inside of our program, right? Not just getting the body you want, but being able to sustain the body that you want in a fun yet sustainable way, which means you can still eat out at your favorite restaurants. You can still have date nights. You can still eat dinner with your kids. You can still go out to your favorite lunch places. You can still go out, have some alcohol here and there if you wanted to, right? Like a lot of people have this perception of like, yes, like you have to be disciplined sometimes, but you don't need to be on top of it all the time. You can be flexible with your approach. You can have a couple cheap foods here and there if you wanted to, right? I personally approach eating personally enjoy eating whole foods because I just feel the best and my taste buds have adjusted so much where, again, people think I'm crazy when I say this, but like I literally get excited whenever someone asks me like, hey, what do you want to eat? And I'm super hungry. I'm like, just give me a salad, give me some chicken breast, give me I don't know, a bowl of oatmeal, some protein powder. Like that to me is like it tastes like sex, basically. Like, it's so good. Whereas the average person will say, oh, pizza, burgers, fries, whatever. But because I've been eating healthy for so long, I just naturally tend to gravitate towards those foods, right? It's not because I'm being more disciplined. It's not because maybe I am a weirdo. Who knows? But yeah, just because I prefer eating whole foods does not mean that you have to eat them all the time. It's just something that I personally prefer, right? Just like you prefer sometimes eating cookies. I prefer most of the time eating healthy food, right? And yeah, it all comes down to doing what you enjoy and can sustain for the long run, which that is the most important part. Because like I said at the start of this life goal, we want fitness to enhance your life, enhance your work, enhance your relationships, enhance everything you're already doing in your current life, and not take over your life. Because once it takes over your life, it kind of defeats the purpose of being fit, right? So that is it for today's live stream. Hopefully you guys did take something out of this, and at the very least it kind of shone a light on what bodybuilding actually is, what it actually looks like, what it actually feels like going through it on your own. Because like I said, it looks amazing from the outside looking in, seeing all these shredded physiques, especially just coming back from Las Vegas where we saw the Olympia, we saw all these amazing physiques. But yeah, just know that it is not meant for everyone. It is not meant to be sustained, and it can definitely lead to a lot of issues down the line. And we haven't even talked about the amount of anabolic drugs that these people take, right? It's like that in itself will already take years out of your life. And yeah, I haven't even discussed that because obviously that's kind of outside of my scope of practice. I don't really know too much about what's involved when it comes to that, but just know that it's not a healthy sport. It is not sustainable. Yes, it looks great, but it is not healthy, and it is not something I condone to most people. So like I said, the better approach is to find a sustainable approach that you enjoy doing for the long run. So with that said, I'm going to let you guys go. If you guys do have any other questions for me, as always, just let me know, and I'll see y'all soon.